The crack of a flawless shot reverberated through the elite shooters club, met with roaring applause from affluent patrons clad in high-end shooting attire. Ethan Caldwell lowered his custom Remington, a smug grin spreading across his bronzed face as the target revealed yet another bullseye. This was his domain, a realm where wealth, influence, and precision formed an unbreachable divide between the elite and the rest. If you've ever felt overlooked or dismissed, you might want to stick around for what unfolded next, the moment that upended everything at America's most exclusive shooting range. Clara Thompson lingered near the entrance, gripping her faded leather purse. Her plain blue cardigan and off-the-rack jeans made her stand out like a weed in a manicured garden. At 35, she was neither youthful enough to draw attention nor accomplished enough to earn respect in this crowd. The receptionist, a young woman with flawless blonde hair and a polished smile, glanced up briefly before looking away, as if Clara were an inconvenience. "Excuse me," Clara said gently. "I'd like to sign up for today's open practice session." The receptionist looked up again, her eyes scanning from Clara's practical shoes to her unadorned ponytail. "Members only," she said curtly, her tone dismissive. Clara exhaled steadily, retrieving a creased envelope from her purse. "I have a day pass." It was a gift. Across the room, Ethan noticed the newcomer. At 42, he was at the height of his career, five-time national champion, Olympic gold medalist, and the ambassador for Remington's luxury line. His family's oil wealth had secured him elite coaching from a young age, and his innate skill had carried him further. Well, Ethan called out, his voice carrying. "Looks like someone got lost on their way to a discount store." His entourage chuckled on cue, amplifying the attention on Clara, who was heading to the beginner's range, her gaze fixed downward. Vanessa Carter, the club's manager and a retired competitive shooter, frowned at Ethan's remark but held her tongue. Clara settled at the far end of the basic range, placing her purse on the shelf. With deliberate care, she unwrapped a cloth bundle to reveal a standard Glock 19. Functional but unremarkable compared to the bespoke firearms of the club's members. Ethan and his group drifted closer, drawn by the prospect of amusement. $10 says she misses the target entirely, one quipped. Ethan snorted. "Make it 10 grand. I bet she's never even touched a gun." Striding over to Clara's station, Ethan leaned in with mock courtesy. "Pardon me, ma'am," he said, his tone thick with condescension. "Are you sure you're in the right place? This isn't a book club." Clara looked up, her hazel eyes locking onto his blue ones with an unexpected steadiness that briefly unsettled him. "I'm just here to practice," she replied softly. Ethan recovered with a smirk. "Practice, sweetheart. This is for real shooters. 10,000 says you can't hit the bullseye at 50 yards. Clara's face remained impassive, though a spark flickered in her eyes. "I don't have that kind of money," she said. Ethan's grin widened. "If, by some fluke, you hit the mark, I pay. If you miss, you leave and never return. Deal." Vanessa, who had approached during the exchange, spoke up, her voice tinged with concern. "Mr. Caldwell, perhaps we should let our guest practice undisturbed." Ethan dismissed her with a wave. "Stay out of it, Vanessa. It's just a friendly bet." Clara's gaze fell to her left hand, where a plain gold band adorned her ring finger. She twisted it once, a subtle motion only the keenest observer might catch. "All right," she said quietly. Ethan's eyebrows rose in surprise before settling into a victorious smirk. "Excellent. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a spectacle." No one noticed Clara's posture shift as she lifted her Glock, her back straightening, shoulders easing, feet aligning in a flawless stance. No one recognized the expert grip or the disciplined breathing. And no one realized the simple ring on her finger had once belonged to one of SEAL Team SIX's most revered snipers. 3 years prior, Clara had stood beneath a dreary April sky, the sharp report of the Honor Guard's rifles piercing the somber quiet of Arlington National Cemetery. The folded American flag pressed against her chest felt unbearably heavy as she watched her husband's casket descend into the earth. Master Chief Daniel Harris had served 15 years, his unmatched sniping skills earning him medals and the revered moniker, the Phantom, among his peers. The official report cited a helicopter crash in a covert operation. Clara knew the truth was buried in classified files she'd never see. They had met in Burlington, Vermont, where Daniel was visiting a wounded SEAL comrade. Clara, an accountant with a life as orderly as her spreadsheets, crossed paths with him at a coffee shop. A spilled drink led to apologies, then hours of conversation. 6 months later, they wed in a modest ceremony, surrounded by a few friends and Daniel's vigilant teammates. Life as a SEAL's wife meant enduring his absences, weeks or months with no word, followed by returns marked by new scars he wouldn't discuss and nightmares he couldn't voice. "I wish I could tell you everything," he'd say, brushing her cheek with his rough thumb. "But I can tell you this. You're why I fight to come home." During one prolonged stateside stint, after a mission left Daniel with a torn knee ligament, he took Clara to a shooting range. "If I'm gone so much," he explained, adjusting her posture with care, "I want to know you can defend yourself." What started as a precaution became a shared passion, offering Clara a glimpse into Daniel's world. Daniel proved a patient teacher, and Clara, a surprisingly adept student. "You're a natural," he'd whispered after her first bullseye. "You've got the trifecta: steady hands, perfect eyesight, and calm under pressure." Over 3 years, whenever Daniel was home, they practiced together. He taught her stance, breath control, sight alignment, and trigger discipline. "Shooting isn't about force," he'd say. "It's about mastering your body, your breath, your fear." Clara absorbed every lesson, finding solace in the ritual. Those range sessions were wordless bonds, sacred moments of connection. Occasionally, Daniel's SEAL teammates joined, and one, Lucas Bennett, remarked, "Boss never stops bragging about your aim. Says you're sharper than half the guys he's trained." Their last range day was 2 days before Daniel's final mission. He was quieter than usual, watching Clara more than shooting himself. "Promise me something," he said, his voice rough against her ear. "Keep practicing, even when I'm not here." Clara nodded, unaware of the weight behind his words. After his death, she couldn't face a range. Daniel's gun stayed locked away. She relocated to Boston for a fresh start, taking a corporate accounting job where no one knew her as a SEAL's widow. Then, a week ago, a package arrived from Lucas Bennett. A day passed to the Elite Shooters Club and a note. "Daniel would want you to keep your promise. 3 years is long enough to grieve alone. Come back to the living." Now, standing in the Elite Shooters Club with Ethan's challenge ringing in the air, Clara felt a spark ignite. The woman she'd been before loss hollowed her. As she raised the Glock, muscle memory took over. The world shrank to 3 points: herself, the gun, the target. She inhaled deeply, held it, exhaled halfway, and squeezed the trigger. The shot rang out, sharp and clear in the silent range. Through the fading echo, the target retrieval system's mechanical hum grew loud. Ethan's amused expression faltered as he noted Clara's flawless form. The target arrived, revealing a perfect bullseye. A stunned silence enveloped the room as Ethan's entourage grappled with the sight. Clara calmly set the Glock down, her face unchanged. Ethan grabbed the target, inspecting it closely. "Beginner's luck," he declared, his tone sharp. "Anyone can fluke once." Vanessa stepped forward, her professional demeanor giving way to admiration. "That was an outstanding shot, miss." "Clara Thompson," Clara supplied softly. Vanessa nodded, her smile apologetic yet impressed. "Miss Thompson, perhaps you'd like to try our advanced range. You're clearly no novice." Before Clara could reply, Ethan cut in. "Hold on. One fluke doesn't make her a pro. Let's see her do it again, with real stakes." Murmurs rippled through the growing crowd. 50,000, Ethan announced, pulling out his checkbook. 3 bullseyes in a row at 75 yards. "Miss one, and you admit you cheated and leave." Governor Mitchell placed a cautioning hand on Ethan's shoulder. "Ethan, maybe this isn't the moment." Ethan shook him off. "What? Afraid her little trick won't hold up 3 times?" Clara considered walking away. She'd come to honor Daniel's promise, not to perform. But Ethan's smug arrogance stirred a dormant fire, a sense of injustice for herself and anyone ever belittled. "I'll take your challenge," she said softly. "On one condition. If I win, the 50,000 goes to the Veterans Support Foundation." Ethan hesitated briefly before nodding. "Fine. You won't win anyway." As Clara moved to the 75-yard mark, Vanessa approached. "Miss Thompson, you should know Ethan holds the club record at this distance. No one's topped his score in 5 years." Clara nodded, appreciating the heads up. "Thank you, Miss Carter, but I'll be fine." Vanessa studied her, noting the quiet confidence that clashed with Clara's unassuming appearance. Ethan played to the crowd. "Ladies and gentlemen, we're about to witness either the greatest fluke in shooting history or a humiliating failure. 3 bullseyes at 75 yards with a basic handgun. Impossible for an amateur." Clara loaded fresh magazines methodically. Daniel's lessons echoed. "When pressure hits, trust your training. Let your body remember what your mind might forget." The range fell silent, all eyes on the unfolding drama. For her first shot, Clara took extra time, adjusting to the distance. The gun's crack was followed by a perfect hit. Ethan's jaw tightened. The second shot came faster, Clara tweaking her stance slightly, another bullseye. Before the third, she twisted her wedding ring, feeling Daniel's presence as if he stood beside her. The final shot split the air, striking dead center. Ethan's face paled, his expression caught between disbelief and rage. Vanessa presented the 3 targets for verification. No doubt remained. 3 flawless shots at a distance that would test seasoned marksmen. "Congratulations, Miss Thompson," Vanessa said, admiration clear. "That was extraordinary." Ethan snatched the targets, searching for flaws. "This is impossible," he hissed. "No one walks in and shoots like this. She rigged something." Clara's voice was calm but firm. "I believe we had a deal, Mr. Caldwell." "A deal with a cheater?" Ethan's voice rose. "I'm not paying 50 grand for a trick." Vanessa stepped in. "Mr. Caldwell, Ms. Thompson's shots were witnessed by dozens, including Governor Mitchell. They're legitimate." Ethan turned on her, jabbing a finger. "Know your place, Vanessa. One call to the board, and you're done here." Clara watched the exchange, her intensity quiet but palpable. "If you're accusing me of cheating," she said evenly, "perhaps we should discuss this privately." Ethan misread her intent. "Private, so you can dodge the fallout?" "No, let's settle this here." He faced the crowd. "I propose a real challenge. 1 week from today, a formal competition. Me versus our mystery sharpshooter. 10 stations, varying distances, club-provided equipment to ensure fairness." Clara realized she'd stumbled into something bigger than a simple wager. Part of her yearned for anonymity, but a stronger part refused to yield. "I accept," she said quietly. "Same terms. If I win, 50,000 to the Veterans Support Foundation." Ethan's smile was cold. "Deal. And when I win, you explain your trick publicly." As the crowd dispersed, Vanessa approached Clara again. That was either incredibly brave or terribly reckless, she said. Ethan doesn't lose well, and he has serious influence here. Clara nodded, adrenaline fading, leaving exhaustion. I didn't come for trouble. I just wanted to practice. Vanessa studied her. Yet you shoot like a pro. Who are you, Clara Thompson? Clara gathered her things. Just someone keeping a promise, she murmured. Unbeknownst to Clara, Ethan was already on the phone, ordering his assistant to dig into her background, no matter what it takes. His voice trembled, not just with anger, but with fear. He'd glimpsed something in Clara's shooting, the unmistakable precision of military training, impossible to fake. Word of the clash spread fast through Boston's elite. By nightfall, Ethan was flooded with messages from friends, rivals, and reporters curious about the woman who'd challenged his reign. In his penthouse overlooking the Charles River, he swirled scotch in a crystal glass, his usual post-victory ritual now a balm for rattled nerves. His girlfriend, Lauren Brooks, scrolled her phone, tracking social media buzz. They're calling her the unknown marksman, she said. Someone posted a blurry video of her last shot. It's got thousands of views. Ethan drained his glass. One lucky day doesn't make her a marksman. By next week, she'll be exposed as a fraud. Lauren looked up, her tone serious. Ethan, those weren't lucky shots. I've watched you compete for years. She's good, really good. His phone rang, cutting her off. Recognizing his investigator's number, Ethan straightened. Tell me you found something, he demanded. The voice was apologetic. Not much, Mr. Caldwell. Clara Thompson, 35, senior accountant at Meridian Financial. Moved to Boston from Virginia Beach 3 years ago. Clean record, pays taxes, keeps to herself. No social media, no shooting background. Ethan's frustration surged. That's impossible. No one shoots like that without training. Dig deeper. After hanging up, he paced his living room. Who is she? Where did she learn to shoot like that? Lauren watched, uneasy. Ethan, maybe let this go? Pay the charity, call it a bad day. Ethan whirled on her, his intensity startling. This isn't about money. It's about my reputation, my legacy. Across town, Clara sat at her kitchen table, staring at her phone. Lucas Bennett had called 3 times since she left the range. The shooting community was tight-knit, especially among military circles. Brewing tea, she stepped onto her balcony, replaying the day. Part of her regretted Ethan's challenge. The attention was unwanted. Yet another part felt alive, as if something long buried had stirred. Her phone buzzed with an unknown number. Hesitating, she answered. Miss Thompson, this is Vanessa Carter from the Elite Shooters Club. Clara tensed. Yes, Miss Carter. Vanessa's voice held urgency. I shouldn't be calling, but Ethan's having people investigate you. He's convinced you cheated. Clara closed her eyes, unsurprised but disappointed. Thank you for the warning, but I have nothing to hide. Vanessa pressed on. Look, I don't know where you learned to shoot like that, but Ethan's family practically owns half of Boston. If he feels threatened, he can make life difficult. Clara appreciated the concern, but knew real threats from mere posturing. I'll be careful, she promised, but I'll honor our agreement. After the call, Clara opened a wooden box holding Daniel's medals, letters, and their wedding photo. Beneath the folded funeral flag was his logbook, detailing training and missions. She flipped to pages about their range sessions, his precise handwriting noting, Clara, 50 yards, 9/10 bullseyes. Natural talent, better than most recruits. The next morning, Clara called in sick for the first time in 3 years. Instead of work, she drove to a public range far from the club's elite clientele. For 8 hours, she practiced diligently, each shot a dialogue with Daniel's memory, a promise kept, a bond preserved. That evening, Vanessa texted, Ethan requested rule changes for competition. Now wants 10 different firearms at varying distances. Board approved. Clara saw the tactic. Ethan was leveraging his broad expertise to expose her limits. She replied, "Thank you. No changes needed on my end." In his penthouse, Ethan received the update with satisfaction. "Perfect," he told Lauren. 10 stations, 10 firearms. No way she matches my experience across that range. Lauren set her wine glass down. "And if she does?" Ethan's smile was cold. "She won't. But if she gets close, I've got insurance." The day before the competition, Lucas Bennett appeared at Clara's door. "Couldn't return a call?" he asked, his gruff tone masking concern. Clara let him in, relieved. "I've been busy," she said. Lucas noted shooting manuals on her table. "So I hear. The community's buzzing about you and Caldwell." They sat at her kitchen table. "Daniel would be proud," Lucas said. "Not just of your shooting, but of you stepping back into the world." Clara's eyes stung with sudden tears. "I'm not sure that's what I'm doing. This wasn't planned." He nodded. "The best battles rarely are. But you're not alone. I've made calls. Friends will be there tomorrow." As Lucas left, he turned back. "One more thing. Watch your back with Caldwell. Guys like him, with his money and connections, don't lose well." Clara nodded, appreciating the warning. "I will. And Lucas, thank you. For the pass, for everything." He smiled. Just keeping a promise to a brother. Ethan's investigation into Clara had grown obsessive, eclipsing his competition prep. Initial checks revealed little, an unremarkable accountant with no shooting history. "Focus on Virginia Beach," Ethan told his investigator. "She lived there before Boston. Check ranges, clubs, instructors. And that wedding ring she keeps touching. Find out about her husband." The investigator remained neutral despite Ethan's demands. "I'll look into it, but marriage records in Virginia. I don't care," Ethan snapped. "The competition's in 2 days. I need answers now." Late that evening, as Ethan reviewed Clara's shooting footage, his investigator called. Virginia Beach was the key. Clara Thompson is the widow of Master Chief Daniel Harris, U.S. Navy SEAL, killed in action 3 years ago. Highly decorated sniper. Ethan felt a chill. "A SEAL sniper? You're sure?" The investigator continued. "Absolutely. Harris trained his wife. Military buddies called it a hobby, but he was serious. One contact said she had exceptional potential." Ethan sat motionless, the implications sinking in. Clara wasn't a fluke. She was the protege of a legendary sniper. The narrative Ethan had built, exposing a lucky amateur, was crumbling. Worse, a new story was emerging. A fallen hero's widow honoring his legacy, challenging a privileged champion who'd mocked her. Across town, Clara was unaware of Ethan's discovery, focusing on her preparations. On Thursday, Vanessa called again. "The competition details have changed." Ethan requested, and the board approved, a weighted scoring system. The final station, a custom Macmillan TAC 338, counts for 30% of the score. Clara caught the maneuver. "Let me guess. Ethan excels with that rifle." Vanessa's pause confirmed it. "It's a long-range precision rifle. Ethan has exclusive experience with it, one of 5 in civilian hands in the Northeast." Clara calculated. Daniel had trained her extensively with handguns, but less with specialized rifles. After the call, she drove to a specialized range, arranging private access to practice long-range rifles. In the parking lot, a black SUV with government plates stood out. Leaning against it was a tall man with a special operations demeanor. "Mrs. Thompson?" "Major Reynolds, former Team 3. I served with Daniel in Baghdad, 16. Clara didn't recall Daniel mentioning him. "Major, I don't remember Daniel speaking of you." Reynolds's expression stayed neutral. "We weren't in the same squad, ma'am, but we all knew the Phantom's reputation." He gestured to the range. Heard you could use pointers on the Macmillan TAC 338. I've got experience with it. For 4 hours, Reynolds coached Clara on the rifle's nuances. Daniel taught you well with handguns, he noted as her shots grew precise. You've got his patience and breath control. This is just magnified. Trust your instincts. By afternoon, Clara was hitting targets at distances that seemed impossible days ago. Reynolds handed her a notebook. Daniel's distance calculations and wind adjustments. He developed them himself. Might help tomorrow. Clara took it reverently. Why are you helping me? You don't know me. Reynolds softened. When you lose a brother, you look after what mattered to him. Daniel bragged about your skill, said you had the calmest hands he'd seen on a civilian. Clara realized her personal challenge had grown into something larger, a clash of values. Ethan's privilege versus Daniel's quiet excellence, flamboyant wealth against humble service. In his penthouse, Ethan received final confirmation of Clara's link to the Phantom. Each detail, Daniel's service, his sniper reputation, his death, eroded Ethan's confidence. It changes nothing, he told Lauren, pouring another drink. Experience beats sentiment. Lauren watched, uneasy. Ethan, maybe cancel the competition. Pay the charity. This is getting messy. Ethan slammed his glass down. Cancel and prove I'm scared? No, tomorrow goes as planned. He dialed a contact. It's Ethan. Everything's set for tomorrow. The brief conversation ended, and Lauren's probing look followed. What was that? She asked. Ethan's smile was hollow. Just ensuring fairness, my dear. Competition day brought a frenzy to the Elite Shooters Club. The board had opened the event to the public, turning a private duel into a spectacle. Vanessa noted equipment inconsistencies, subtle tweaks favoring someone familiar with the firearms. Clara arrived in jeans and a navy button-down, carrying Daniel's notebook. Vanessa pulled her aside. I checked the equipment. There are irregularities, nothing I can flag officially, but enough to tilt things for someone who knows these guns. Clara nodded. Thank you for the heads up. Ethan arrived with sponsors, dressed in branded gear. Miss Thompson, I trust you're ready? His emphasis on her name hinted at his discovery. The spotlight can overwhelm those unused to it. No shame in bowing out. Clara met his gaze. I'll manage, Mr. Caldwell. My husband taught me about pressure. The competition area resembled an arena, with digital scoreboards and 3 range masters officiating. Clara spotted Lucas Bennett and other military figures in the crowd, their presence bolstering her. Ethan's technique shone through early stations, polished, precise. Clara's was quieter, more efficient, her stillness between shots betraying rigorous training. By the 4th station, Ethan led slightly, leveraging his competition experience. At the 5th, Clara noticed a heavier trigger pull on the Sig Sauer. Recalling Daniel's advice, equipment fails, adapt, she adjusted and matched Ethan's score. By the 8th station, Ethan's lead had shrunk to nearly nothing. The crowd cheered Clara's quiet skill against Ethan's flash. Before the 9th station, Ethan approached. Impressive, Mrs. Thompson. Your husband would be proud. The Phantom's techniques are unmistakable. I did my homework. Clara's hands paused at the mention of Daniel's call sign, but she stayed composed. Then you know he valued integrity, Mr. Caldwell. Something to consider. The 9th station ended in a tie, setting up the final station, the Macmillan TAC 338, as the decider. Clara noticed adjustments to the scope and stock, but consulted Daniel's notebook instead of protesting. Ethan shot first, landing 9 of 10 shots in the innermost rings, setting a high bar. Not everyone handles championship pressure, he said loudly. Clara felt a familiar calm, the focus Daniel described in combat. Using his formulas, she compensated for the tampered equipment. Her first shots were perfect. By the 6th, all bullseyes. As she lined up her final shot, a light flashed across her sight line, a distraction from Ethan's entourage. She paused, refocused, and fired a 10th bullseye, surpassing Ethan's score. The crowd roared, their applause becoming a standing ovation. Vanessa announced, Clara Thompson, first place. Ethan Caldwell, second. Ethan's forced handshake barely masked his fury. This isn't over, he whispered. Clara replied, for today it is. And you owe $50,000 to the Veterans Support Foundation. Ethan's composure shattered. You think this proves anything? A military widow with beginner's luck can't replace years of championship skill. This was a stunt. Vanessa intervened, holding up her tablet. The equipment was rigged, Mr. Caldwell, not in Ms. Thompson's favor. Security footage showed Ethan's technician tampering with the firearms. The crowd's admiration for Clara deepened. She'd won despite sabotage. Ethan stood stunned, facing not just defeat, but potential ruin. By Sunday, clips of Clara's flawless shots and Ethan's outburst went viral, turning a niche story into a tale of privilege versus redemption. Clara ignored media requests, calling only Lucas Bennett. It's bigger than I expected. What now? Privacy or justice? He asked. Clara paused. Ethan hasn't paid, and the tampering was fraud. There should be consequences. At Ethan's penthouse, his team planned damage control, a statement citing pressure, a veteran's donation, and a wellness retreat. Ethan refused. I'm not apologizing. Her military training was the real cheat. Police arrived, questioning him about fraud and tampering under Massachusetts gaming laws, given the wager. Meanwhile, Clara met General Robert Larson, Veterans Support Foundation Director. Our board, including club members, is moving to revoke Ethan's records, he said, offering her a role in a new marksmanship program for veterans. Days later, Ethan's team offered a settlement, $100,000 to the foundation, an apology, and a private meeting. In a neutral conference room, Ethan, subdued in a suit, spoke. Mrs. Thompson, I apologize. I've built my identity on being the best. When you challenged that, I acted criminally. His rehearsed words turned genuine. I've never faced someone who shoots for more than trophies. It shook me. Clara replied, I didn't come to shake anyone. I was honoring my husband. Your actions disrespected the sport and the charity. Ethan nodded, shame evident. That's why I doubled the donation and accepted a 3-year suspension. They shook hands. You're the finest shooter I've faced, Ethan admitted. Your husband taught you well. Clara smiled faintly. He'd say I was already a good student. The right teacher just reveals what's there. 2 weeks later, Clara stood at the foundation's new training range, funded by Ethan's donation. Her first class, 6 veterans with visible and hidden scars, listened as she spoke. I'm Clara Thompson, not a soldier or champion, just someone who learned steady hands come from enduring great shaking. Today, we start with basics, stance, breathing, focus. 6 months later, at the foundation's fundraiser, Clara spoke. A year ago, I kept a promise to my husband at a range. I thought I'd reconnect with his lessons and return to my quiet life. Instead, I found this community. The Daniel Phantom Harris Scholarship was announced, and as its first recipient, an injured Army Ranger, accepted, Clara twisted her ring one last time. This is for you, Daniel. Clara's greatest triumph wasn't defeating Ethan, but reclaiming her place in the world, honoring past and future. For those who saw her journey, from being ignored to leading a movement, the message was clear: never dismiss the quiet ones. Their silence may hide resolve forged in hardship, skills sharpened by devotion, and values rooted in experiences beyond comprehension. If you're ever overlooked, remember Clara Thompson, how a woman dismissed at a range turned disrespect into a legacy of respect, one perfect shot at a time.